Now, at this stage, we would like to pay tribute to the late Bishop Donald Lamont. A lot has been written about Bishop Lamont over the years. A lot of publications and articles have been written about the man himself and about his life and his stand regarding justice in Rhodesia over many years. He died, as we mentioned, in the year 2003. So we would like to pay tribute now to our late bishop, our brother, Carmelite Bishop. As we mentioned, he was consecrated or ordained bishop during 1957 on the steps of Marymount College in Mutare. So many publications which I'll mention now and point out to you the great significance of his life, and on the publications about his life and his heroic stand over many years. Bishop Lamont, as we know, came to our country during 1946. He came with two other priests. And many years later, Father Corbett, one of those three, wrote about their journey from Ireland to Rhodesia back in 1946. And the publication is Notes from a Diary. Father A. Corbett O'Carm, and mentions a lot about Zimbabwe in chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we read about his early years, Bishop Lamont's very early years in Rhodesia, from 1946 onwards, written by a fellow Carmelite, Father Corbett. And the title of the publication is Notes from a Diary. It's all about their journey and their early years in Zimbabwe. Another publication which I have mentioned already, Celts Among the Shona, written by Father Michael Hender. And there is quite a number of articles written by Father Lamont in those days, and they are included in this publication, Celts Among the Shona. Articles from editions of White Friars. It was a magazine published by the Irish province on the early experiences of Carmelite missionaries in Zimbabwe. And Father Hender produced this in 2002, Celts Among the Shona. The next one I have is a very good book on Bishop Lamont. A bishop could not do otherwise. The Life and Witness of Bishop Donald Lamont, 1911 to 2003, compiled and edited by Father Micheál O'Neill, Carmelite Prior General of this time. Now, this is a very good book on Bishop Lamont. It includes the contents, the introduction, of course, the foreword, the list of contributors, and it includes the bishop's famous letter, Purchase People. And then there is an introduction in this book to Bishop Lamont's speech from the dock. It is an introduction to his speech from the dock, the famous speech he made in the courthouse in Mutare back in 1976. It got worldwide publicity. So there is an introduction to that, and it talks about what led up to his trial. So it is a very useful section of this book, Introduction to Speech from the Dock. And then the speech from the dock is also contained in this publication. And then there's another chapter on Donald Lamont, the man and his work. It talks about Bishop Lamont himself and his work, and how he worked in the diocese, and how the diocese and all the different foundations in the diocese. And again, a very useful chapter in this book, Donald Lamont, the man and his work. And then it goes on to talk about the man himself, that I may please God. And then there are notes in this publication. So this is a very useful and very good publication on the life of Bishop Donald Lamont. A very good read, and informs the reader of the life of this man who did so much for this country. There's also a reference from the archives about, regarding all the pastoral letters of the bishops of Rhodesia and Zimbabwe. There are 2 volumes produced by the ZCBC, the Zimbabwe Catholic Bishops' Conference. They have produced 2 volumes. The first one is from 1959 to 1985. All their pastoral letters are contained in Volume 1, Pastoral Letters by the Bishops of Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, and was published in 2015. So all the pastoral letters of the bishops from 1959 to 1985 are contained in a volume from the Zimbabwe Catholic Bishops' Conference. As we have said, Bishop Lamont was installed as Prefect Apostolic of Umtali. And again, from the archives, there is an article written in the White Friars of July and August of 1953, contained from the archives. The Episcopal ordination of Bishop Lamont at Marymount College on the 16th of June again. There was an article in White Friars magazine, August-September 1957, again contained from the archives. The Catholic Church in Manicaland, we have mentioned that at length. The Catholic Church in Manicaland, we have mentioned this, and the contents, which contains a lot of information regarding Bishop Lamont and his work in the Diocese of Mutare. We have mentioned that publication quite a lot today. And again, the Golden Jubilee of the Carmelites in Zimbabwe, 50 years, a souvenir of the Golden Jubilee of the Irish Carmelites in Zimbabwe, written by Michael Hender. We have mentioned this already, 1996. Early history and the years which followed. And there are many references to Bishop Lamont in this publication. Mavambo, another. There are many early history, mission, foundations, and onwards. There are many references to Bishop Lamont also in this publication. Mavambo, 2016. All of this, of course, has been mentioned already. On the front line, by Sister Janice McLaughlin, Catholic Missions in Zimbabwe's Liberation War. Sister Janice McLaughlin, and there are many references to Bishop Lamont in this publication. And the publication is from 19 1896. So a very useful read, and many references in this book to Bishop Lamont. Rhodesia, April 1975, The Man in the Middle, issued by the Justice and Peace Commission in Harare and Salisbury at that time. There are two articles in this book. The Man in the Middle, published by the Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace in Rhodesia. The introduction is by Bishop Lamont, and it covers the war years, beginning with 1975. And then also in this publication, Civil War in Rhodesia, report compiled by the Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace in Rhodesia, and an article by Bishop Lamont, War Years 1976. So this publication has been put together, these two articles have been put together by the Justice and Peace Commission in Zimbabwe. The Man in the Middle and Civil War in Rhodesia, written during 1975 and during 1976. And there are also letters from the Irish Provincial in Dublin to the Minister of External Affairs in Ireland, expressing concern for Bishop Lamont and for his safety in Rhodesia because of his political stand, and that is 1976. And then there's another letter in the archives. Most of this is in the archives, from the archives. A letter from Bishop Carlin, the Bishop of Bulawayo, to the Superior of the Carmelites at that time, in response to a concern expressed by Father O'Lone with regard to the stand in which Bishop Lamont has taken on issues concerning the state of the country, and that was in 1976. They're just letters written to support Bishop Lamont and his stand during those years of 1976 and 75. The trial of Bishop Lamont, again, Bishop Lamont versus the state, again, they are in our archives here in Harare. That took place during March of 1977. The Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace issued a statement on the trial of Bishop Lamont on the 9th of May, 1977. And then the Kenyan government issued a stamp in his honor during 1978. And then there are various articles written by Bishop Lamont and various talks given by Bishop Lamont after his deportation from Rhodesia at that time. They're all in our archives here in Harare. And then in one of our publications, Causa Nostra Letizia, we have accounts, or we have the homilies of the funeral mass of Bishop Lamont, which was held in Dublin during 2003. So we have the homilies that were given during his days before his burial, and also after. There is also an account or a copy of the sermon or of the homily given by Father Frederick Chiromba at the cathedral in Mutare when there was a special mass said for Bishop Lamont some days after his funeral. So there are many publications, I must say, on Bishop Lamont, a lot of them available in our library here in Harare, and also there are many articles available in our archives relating to the late bishop and his work and his life and his death.